For almost the entirety of NBA history, the MVP voting has followed a very specific formula that they very rarely diverge from. For one, you need to be on an elite winning team. Number two, you have to have really nice stats, but not necessarily the best stats as long as you're winning a lot. And number three, you have to have a nice story to the season. Specifically, to really emphasize how important winning is to the formula, listen to this. In the past 30 years of NBA basketball, every single MVP winner has finished in the standings as a top 2 team in his conference, with the exception of one, which was Russell Westbrook in 2017, who was the first player to average a triple-double since 1962. So unless you can do something that's so incredibly historic that it breaks the formula, you're not winning MVP unless your team is an elite winning team. But is this fair? Is this really the most accurate way to gauge a player's value? Many people don't think so, and think that the award too strongly favors players on elite teams rather than who's honestly the best player or the most valuable player in a literal sense. So what if we said screw the formula, and instead just gave the award to the player who was literally that season's best player? Well, things would change up quite a bit. The decade we're looking at in this video is the 2010s, and let me know in a comment if you agree or disagree with these choices. In 2010, LeBron James was the league MVP, and on this new list, he keeps the award. The actual MVP voting wasn't even close this season, as LeBron led a Cavs team that was devoid of superstar support to a league-best 61 wins. But even if we disregard team success and evaluate LeBron's season on an individual level, he still runs away with the award, as he averaged 29.7 points, 8.6 assists, 7.3 rebounds, and 1.6 steals on 50.3% shooting. On top of all of these nice offensive numbers, James also established himself as one of the NBA's best defensive players, as he made first-team All-Defense for the second straight season. Kobe obviously had a really nice season as well, as he went on to win his second straight title, but his regular season numbers were actually pretty tame compared to LeBron's, and if the Mamba was the MVP of anything that year, it was definitely the playoffs. A 21-year-old Kevin Durant also had a monstrous season offensively, but the skinny star hadn't quite made a name for himself yet on the defensive end, so in that case, LeBron maintains his firm grasp on the award. In 2011, Derrick Rose was the MVP, becoming the youngest player in NBA history to ever win the award. As awesome as that year was, on this list he loses the MVP to LeBron James. The 2011 MVP race is one of the most interesting debates of basketball history. Derrick Rose indeed had a spectacular season with averages of 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 4.1 rebounds on 44.5% shooting as he led the Bulls to the best record in the league. But LeBron had even greater numbers with arguably his best season on the defensive end, once again making first-team All-Defense. It was a weird season for the King, as it was his first season in Miami alongside of 2 other legitimate superstars, which may have affected how the voters placed their votes. But if we're looking at it objectively, LeBron was clearly the more productive player in terms of efficiency, defensively, and in advanced analytics. Obviously, this season for LeBron is remembered most famously for his disappointing performance in the NBA Finals, but only the regular season is being factored in here, so his award is safe. Honorable mention goes to Dwight Howard, who won his 3rd straight Defensive Player of the Year. But even Dwight at his best isn't quite on the same level as LeBron in any of his years with the Heat. In 2012, LeBron James won the MVP in a lockout-shortened season, and he's keeping the award once again. This one will be quick, because James was easily the most dominant player this season as he averaged 27.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 1.9 steals on 53.1% shooting. Kevin Durant had a good season as well, putting up 28, 8, and 3 on just under 50% shooting. But despite those nice numbers, it really wasn't even close, because unlike Durant, LeBron was first-team All-Defense once again. He easily had the highest player efficiency rating that season, he led the league in win shares, and he also had the league's best plus-minus. We're not even factoring in how he dominated the playoffs, won the championship, and the Finals MVP. No matter what formula you use to decide the MVP winner, LeBron comes out on top in 2012. In 2013, LeBron James won the MVP award yet again, and he's keeping the award because this is arguably the best season of his career and one of the greatest seasons in NBA history. Kevin Durant had a monstrous season, averaging 28, 8, and 5 on 51% shooting and 41% from three-point range. Kobe also had an epic year and what was his last MVP caliber season of his career, which ended in the famous Achilles tear. Despite those valiant efforts, there was absolutely nothing LeBron didn't do this year, as he led the Heat to 66 wins and their legendary 27-game winning streak. By nature of this new MVP formula, I'm not allowed to count LeBron's team success to his best player case, but he doesn't need it. He averaged 26.8 points, 8 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 1.7 steals on an absurd 56.5% shooting and 40.6% from three-point range. He was an absolute force on the defensive end, swatting shots, locking down the opposing star, and not only did he make first team all-defense, but he actually finished as a close second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. He easily led the league in PER, win shares, and plus-minus, and had an unbelievable 64% true shooting percentage. From top to bottom, all around, on every spot of the court, from beginning of the season to its very end, LeBron had a year for the record books. In 2014, Kevin Durant won the MVP award, and he's actually keeping the award just slightly ahead of LeBron. It's possible that Oklahoma City's 59 wins compared to Miami's 54 wins was the swaying factor in the actual MVP voting. Maybe even voter fatigue played a factor against LeBron, but even outside of that, I still give the edge to Durant in what was basically just a heated two-man race. LeBron put up 27.1 points, 6.9 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1.6 steals on a tremendous 56.7% shooting. It was going to take something pretty incredible to stop this streak that LeBron had going, and that's just what KD did, as he put up 32 points, 7.4 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.3 steals on 50.3% shooting. He was lethal from everywhere on the floor, as he not only comfortably led the league in scoring this year, but he nearly had a 50-40-90 season while doing it. If he had pulled off the 50-40-90 feat, it would have been the highest scoring 50-40-90 season in all of NBA history. The major advanced stats are almost entirely in his favor as well, as he led the league in player efficiency rating, win shares, and plus-minus. If there was ever a time where KD was the best player in the league, in my humble opinion, this was it. In 2015, Steph Curry won his first MVP award, and now he loses the award to Anthony Davis. You must be asking, Anthony Davis? Yep. But let me start by explaining that this is easily the weakest group of MVP candidates in this decade. Steph won the award in large part due to his Warriors having a league-best 67 wins, and his three-point shooting was pioneering its way to the next era of basketball. But he certainly wasn't an elite defensive player, and when you take a look at the numbers, they're kind of tame compared to the usual MVP standards. LeBron James had a solid regular season, but it was also a significant drop-off from his Miami production, as he was now shooting below 50% from the field, and this was the first year where we could visibly notice that LeBron's on-ball defense had substantially gotten worse. James Harden and Russell Westbrook had solid seasons too, but the edge remains with a 21-year-old Anthony Davis. He didn't place higher in the actual MVP voting because his Pelicans only won 45 games. But that wasn't his fault, as he had the least star power supporting him out of all the other serious MVP candidates. Davis put up averages of 24.4 points, 10.2 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 2.9 blocks on 53.5% shooting. AD was also an elite rim protector as he comfortably led the league in blocks this season. Out of the top 5 MVP finalists, he was the only one to make an all-defense team appearance as he finished 4th overall in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. Throw in the fact that he was lethal from the free throw line as a big man, and he also had the league's best player efficiency rating, and that's enough to get my vote this season. In 2016, Steph Curry became the first ever unanimous MVP winner, and on this new list, he keeps the award. I believe this is the first winner I've picked in the series where I'm able to overlook the fact that he's not elite defensively. Other players had pretty good 2016 campaigns, but it's basically pointless to talk about anyone other than Curry because of how far and wide he separated himself from the rest of the competition. Everyone remembers the Warriors went 73-9 to break the Bulls' all-time record, but he doesn't even need that working in his favor to stand out. He absolutely shattered the NBA record for three-pointers made in a season with 402. At the time, no one else had even made over 300 in a season. On top of that, he shot 45.4% from three-point range. To make that many three-pointers on that percentage over the course of a season is something that seemed basically unhuman up to that point. He led the league in scoring and steals as he averaged 30.1 points, 6.7 assists, 5.4 rebounds, and 2.1 steals on 50.4% shooting. It was his first 50-40-90 season and is still the highest scoring 50-40-90 season of all time. Furthermore, he led the league in free throw percentage, true shooting percentage, player efficiency rating, win shares, and plus minus. Dare I say, I think we as a basketball community have already started to lose track of how incredible Steph Curry was during the 2016 regular season. In 2017, Russell Westbrook won the MVP in a season where he averaged a triple-double, and on this new list, he's keeping the award, slightly ahead of James Harden and LeBron James. Westbrook dominated offensively for the Thunder and carried the team to the playoffs in their first season without Kevin Durant. Westbrook's 2017 campaign still has the highest usage rate of any season in NBA history. He led the league in scoring with averages of 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists, and 1.6 steals on 42.5% shooting. Some people won't like this choice since many people have criticized Westbrook for being a stat padder, and sure, maybe Steven Adams let Westbrook have a couple rebounds here and there, but even if we knock off a couple of his rebounds per game, you still can't help but be incredibly impressed by his production this season. Something I rarely see people mention is how Westbrook put up monstrous video game numbers in such little time. He averaged 34.6 minutes per game, and that put him in only 20th place, well behind most elite superstars. James Harden had fantastic numbers as well while playing a couple more minutes per game. Both stars had very comparable shooting statistics, but Harden actually set the record for the highest turnover per game average in NBA history at 5.7, which doesn't really help his case. LeBron's level of production is a little too far behind in order to strongly consider him for the award this season, and he doesn't have elite defense working in his favor anymore either. None of these candidates do for that matter. With all this being said, Westbrook was simply on another level this year, even if you take away a rebound or two and the triple-double achievement. In 2018, James Harden won his first MVP award, and now he loses the award to LeBron James. In the actual MVP voting, this was a tough two-man race between Harden and LeBron. Harden led the league in scoring behind strong averages of about 30 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals on 45% shooting. His Rockets won a league-best 65 games that season, so I definitely think the best player on the best team logic had a strong influence in the voting. LeBron, on the other hand, put up 27.5 points, 8.6 rebounds, 9.1 assists, and 1.4 steals on a significantly more efficient 54.2% shooting. Not only do LeBron's numbers appear to be slightly better, but LeBron also played in all 82 games that regular season, a feat that none of the other MVP candidates were able to achieve that year, and Harden played a total of 10 less games. Not only do people regularly recognize LeBron as the better player, but this season, he had the production and consistency to back it up, without the playoffs even being factored in which case it would have not been close. In 2019, Giannis won the MVP, and he's keeping the award just slightly ahead of James Harden. It's going to go down as one of the more controversial and hotly debated MVPs of league history, and I expect this comment section to be more of the same. I wrestled with this one for a while, but ultimately I believe Giannis was the more complete player. He averaged 27.7 points, 12.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1.5 blocks on 58% shooting. Compare that to Harden, who dropped 36.1 points, 6.6 rebounds, 7.5 assists, and 2 steals on 44% shooting. I gotta admit, I feel a little crazy for not giving the Best Player award to a man who averaged a well-rounded 36 points per game, but here's my major reasons why. For one, Giannis was clearly the better defensive player. Now that's not to hate on Harden, whose on-ball defense has improved tremendously in recent years, and more specifically his defense in the post. But even with that being said, he's not Giannis, who was the main reason why the Bucks had the league's #1 ranked defense that season, and Giannis finished second overall in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. Another aspect is how Giannis played only 32.8 minutes per game, which is insane, and was ranked 37th in the league compared to Harden, who was 3rd overall in minutes per game. Not enough is said about how crazy it is that Giannis consistently puts up MVP numbers on a role player's amount of minutes. Overall, I'm not a big fan of the per 36 minute stat, because it's not fair to simply prorate a guy's numbers and pretend that it's actual production. But with that being said, Giannis does so much with so little that I can only imagine if he had a league leader's amount of minutes. Start giving him more minutes, and it wouldn't take long for his numbers to look really goofy, and dare I say, Wilt Chamberlain-like. Now, if he could just figure out a way to translate that to the playoffs, he'd be set. Here's a quick recap of who originally won the award and who now wins under this new format. Do you agree with the list? Let me know in the comment section which ones you think I got right and which ones you think I got wrong. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.